development. So physical development, okay, first thing that I wanted to mention is that in early adulthood, you are at your peak physically, okay? When I say early adulthood, I'm talking 20s into early 30s, okay? You are at your physical peak. Your muscle tone, your sight, your hearing, all of these things are going to be at your peak, okay? These are the best. Now, keep in mind, that does not necessarily mean that somebody who is 45 couldn't go and run a marathon faster than you, okay? Because if you are not a marathon runner, right, you're not, just because you're 25 doesn't mean that you're going to run faster than a 45-year-old. So when I say you're at your peak, that's for you personally, your physical well-being. However, there are studies where people go and, for example, they don't take up running or they don't take up exercise until later on in their life, and they become more physically fit later, okay? But biologically, you're generally at your peak in early 20s. So you will see that you will have definitely people at their peak. Okay. Middle adulthood. Middle adulthood, you are going to see some declines in muscle strength. You're going to see some general slow declines. They're not going to be terribly fast. You may see, for example, people who at one point in time did not need glasses. Okay? They didn't need glasses all the way through childhood and early adulthood, and now all of a sudden they start to need glasses. Okay? But also, you also have fertility issues then. For women, you'll have menopause. What's menopause? Well, yeah, your ovaries stop producing eggs, right? So as a result, your periods stop. And women will have some hormonal issues in there. I don't know if any of your moms are going through menopause. They get to that, okay? What are some characteristic signs of menopause? Some like symptoms? Hot flashes, night sweats, okay, mood swings. They're going to be extraordinarily different than if you're talking about right before the period. So women go through a menopause period, and then they have to adjust these differences in hormone balances afterwards. For men, they don't actually stop producing sperm. They do have a lower sperm count, however. And you guys all know this, that men can father children all the way up until their deathbed, right? Okay, so there's lots of stories of men that have fathered children well into their 70s. It just means that they have a lower sperm count. They don't have as many little sperms. Yes.
Are kids like normal if you father them out, right?
Yeah.
There's studies that show that the older the dad is when they have their child, the more likely it is to have
Really?
It's recent stuff.
Yeah. Generally speaking, yeah. I mean, it increases, some chances of particular things. But generally speaking, if the dad is older, generally speaking, it's okay. When you have older moms, that's where it's kind of the same thing where you open yourself up to more birth defects, like Down syndrome, for example, is higher probability for older mothers. So that's why if you are older than 35 when you're pregnant, we consider it a high-risk pregnancy because it may result in some sort of birth defects, and they will be very careful at watching pregnancy during that time. Okay, now the other thing that I wanted to talk about is late adulthood. Now, late adulthood, keep in mind, early adulthood is going to be your 20s to early 30s. Middle adulthood is kind of late 30s all the way up through, say, 60s. Okay, late adulthood, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Okay, and I do have a couple of things that I wanted to show you with this. This is one of those little psych simulators, and it looks at changes over the time period. And I want to show you this. Look at this. This is one of those little morphing things. So this is a guy, and it starts with, and I'm going to hit play, but it's going to start with like his baby pictures, his pictures when he was little, and it will morph into what he looks like now. So theirs was toddler. It gets older. So the point that I'm trying to show you is that these changes, as you can tell, as it kind of morphed over time, the changes were very gradual. And if you talk to anybody, like, for example, your grandparents that are considered in late adulthood, you ask them about, their physical appearance, and they will tell you that, it's different for them because, like, you see them and you're just like, oh my gosh, you look old and all this, and your grandparents are just like, they don't necessarily notice the difference, and they're like, I feel like I look like I did when I was 50 or when I was 40, okay? They may say, I have a few more wrinkles, but I feel like the same, okay? I did have a couple of little video clips to show you with this. Okay, I wanted to show you these two. They're kind of funny.
Do you think you look different than you did when you were 18?
I look in the mirror and I see my mother when she was not quite my age, but close to it. And I'm not, well, it's the sort of startling. You don't think about it, and all of a sudden you look in the mirror and, oh my goodness, there's my mother.
And what about it? Is it your hair or is it just your face?
And also, I think you look in the mirror and say, can that old person looking back at me possibly be me? Because I don't feel that old.
So did you notice changes in your hair or?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of color for gray.
But I think spectrum like this.
If you want to make this somewhat happy, write about it, but otherwise, it's just part of the deal. No. I don't know, I have a lot more hair than one. I don't know.
Was it just one day or was it?
No, it was gradual.
If you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see?
Well, I see a guy that certainly doesn't look 82 when I look around at these people here.
He doesn't.
And I know people that knew me when we lived in Peru in 1953. She says I haven't changed a bit. Now that's stretching it a bit. But I haven't aged that much.
One of the things that the young people worry about getting old is how to feel to look older. And I don't, do you feel like you look different than you did when you were 20 or?
They certainly know I don't.
Yes, but
No.
yes.
I don't think I do wear, I do wear makeup, I don't wear as much as I used to. Looks, I don't think looks ever bothers me that much.
Do you look different though? Now that you're older?
I don't think so. I mean, I myself don't hold so. No,
That's good, yeah.
I don't feel any. I have some think that I'm going to be 81, but I don't feel 81.
Okay, so my point in showing you this is that, and there's a whole bunch of other examples in here, but my point in showing you this is that while you look at them and you're just like, how could you not notice how you look differently? But for them, and you have to think about it from their perspective, is that they have slowly, gradually gotten, older, and their face and body has probably changed a bit, but for them, it's been such a slow, gradual change that they don't even really notice, okay? And they're saying that, they feel like they look the same as they did when they were 20, 30 years old, okay? Generally speaking, however, obviously, we do have some physical changes. Aging, obviously, size and shape. You do literally start to shrink. Have you noticed that maybe your grandmother or grandfather has kind of gotten a stooped appearance? Okay. If you ask them how tall they are, it's funny because they will tell you how tall they are based off from how tall they've been their entire life. But if you actually measure them, sometimes they're actually shorter than what they've always said. And the reason is that it's just this compression of the disc, and biologically, this is what actually happens. So you may actually get shorter as you get older. I also wanted to show, what else I want to talk about? Hearing, obviously hearing becomes worse as you get older. The more you have actually experienced loud noises in your youth, the more it's going to affect your hearing as you get older. So that will also change. These are some levels of frequencies of pitch, okay? And they're changing the frequency and the pitch of it, and obviously there's a bigger drop-off when you're looking at the older adults. Which, by the way, I keep hearing this. Have you found the cell phone rings that are a specific pitch, that are a high enough pitch that older adults can't hear? Have you found those? Okay, they're supposedly out there. And then, what else did I want to show you? Oh, vision obviously also declines, and so they're talking about some of the other changes that have happened. I won't play you all of them, but I did want to talk about that, generally speaking, they don't see themselves as being a whole lot different from when they were younger. Other than that, oh, there's menopause, hot flashes, and being very active. The more active you are, by the way, through early in adulthood, in the middle adulthood, the more active you will be in late adulthood. You can still have still have older adults that are very physically fit. It just kind of depends upon what's going on for them personally.